Hello, are you here to debate?
Hello?
Yeah, you here to debate?
Yeah, I'm just happy that I got on.
All right. Can I get your name, age, and pronouns, please?
Yeah, my name is Ben. Pronouns, I guess, can you hear me still?
Yeah.
Sorry, your show's still on in the background here. All right. I guess you can just do he, him.
Okay, and your age?
30.
Okay. Ben, what topic are you here to talk about?
Let's just go down the list. I want to hear your opinion on it too, and then I'll say my opinion as well.
Well, just choose ones. Choose ones you might disagree with.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead. I don't have my screen open, so can you just say what the first thing on the list is? I know it was something about Trump. Do you still support Trump?
Yeah, the first one is, do you still support Trump? Yeah.
Yeah. So I think he was kind of probably the lesser of the evils. I think I agree that he's kind of a sociopath to some extent. He's a little bit egotistical. But
can I ask you a question?
I think a lot of Yeah, go ahead.
He's the lesser of two evils, but he's about to throw homeless people into concentration camps. How does that track?
Well, I mean, I haven't seen anything about him throwing homeless people.
He just signed
an
executive order about it like a few days ago.
Okay. Oh yeah. The one that makes it easier to do something with homeless people.
No, he's specifically trying to federally criminalize homelessness, and then take anyone who refuses to go to. They're creating these like government-run tent cities. Anyone who refuses to go there and get forced treatment will go to prison.
Well, I mean, the condition of San Francisco, of Los Angeles, of Seattle, of some of these cities, I don't know that was a better alternative. I agree it's a problem, and I think he's trying to create some action, some response to that problem, because it is a problem. I mean, regardless of which side politically people fell on previously, I think it was still a problem, right?
So we should be criminalizing homelessness, and then homeless people that refuse to get forced services should be jailed, instead of just like, I don't know, giving homeless people homes.
Well, I mean, I think that would probably be better. I will read the bill and see if they're actually going to do that, because a lot of the times what happens is they have things like provisions in bills like that in order to create mechanisms for action, because previously there just wasn't anything. So it's a little bit sensationalized to say that they're going to put people in concentration camps when
what is a concentration
in reality
camp, Ben?
It could just be
What is a concentration camp?
What is a concentration camp?
Yes.
It's a camp where people are concentrated in.
Okay.
So any camp that has groups of people in it, any jail is going to be a concentration camp, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's going to specifically be imprisoned or confined due to. Usually, there's a caveat that they're a less desirable part of society that we don't want to deal with. Yeah. So would that not equate to houseless individuals? They're a part of society people don't want to deal with anymore. So instead of, like I said, giving them homes, instead we are forcing them into government-run tent cities that they're not allowed to leave unless they receive forced services and are deemed confident members of society by the government. Isn't that kind of fucked up?
Yeah, I mean, homelessness in general is fucked up. I mean, I think it's a problem in general, right? And so, I mean, the suggestion that you said was we should just give them homes. I mean, that's kind of what we're doing. We're giving them a place to stay, and we're trying to rehabilitate them back into society. I mean, homelessness usually starts off to begin with because people actually don't want to hold jobs. They don't want to be a part of society. In some cases, it's just people who are down on their luck.
The primary reason for homelessness is loss of employment, not that they don't want to work, but because they lost their job and then their life spiraled after that.
Yeah. So the primary reason for homelessness across the U.S. is loss of jobs.
Yes, it's economic hardship and a lack of affordable housing, which all comes from employment.
It's not mental health or drug use.
No, it's not.
Does that play a factor into it at all?
It plays a factor like it would in like anything, but it's not anything. It's like statistically, it's not really as relevant when we look at like the amount of people who are homeless who do drugs.
Yeah, I guess I've always heard the exact opposite. But
yes, because the people who are rich don't want people to view homeless people as human, so they parrot all of this propaganda about the houseless population so that we look at them as less than in society. And so now, instead of looking at them as people, what you even said was, well, it's a problem. Look at how overrun San Francisco's getting. What is the problem? That San Francisco looks dirty, or that people are on the street and not being helped? I would say the problem is that these people are not being helped. Not that San Francisco might look a little dirty. I don't give a fuck about that. I care about the fact that what we see from like basically every study that's done on how we end houselessness is that house first models are the most effective models. So throwing people into forced camps where they are forced to get services does not work. What does work is giving them stable housing and then trying to help them with whatever issues that they're battling.
Sure. So a lot of these people are on drugs. You realize? Do you agree with that or no?
What is a lot to you?
Like a large percentage. I don't have the exact figures, but I mean, I could estimate and say maybe at least 50%. Would you agree that at least 50% of homeless people let's just pick California, are on drugs?
50%. You're saying 50% are on drugs.
At least 50%.
I have the actual.
I think it's probably more.
I have the actual number. So hold on, let me pull it up.
Okay. And then what's the source you're using on that?
I'm sorry.
What's the source you're using on that?
This is UC San Francisco did a study on this. UC San Francisco found
what year was that?
Well, this would be 2023 was when they did this study. They found that 65% of homeless individuals did regularly use illicit drugs at some point in their life. However, only 37% of homeless individuals are actively using illicit drugs, while 25% of homeless individuals have never used drugs at all.
Yeah, I'm reading it quick right now. Okay, so that's still a pretty big proportion, and that's just in San Francisco. So
37% that are actively using? Why would we demonize an entire population when less than half are currently using?
Oh, I'm not saying we're going to demonize them. My point in this was that these people need help, right? And we're trying to help them. So I asked, what should we do to help them? And then your suggestion is, well, we'll give them houses.
Yes, housing first models work best every time. Literally every time housing first models work best.
Yeah, so there's the problem of, how are we going to pay for the houses? And then are these people going to take care of these houses?
Do you know how many houses we have to pay for? Like how many people at any one time are sleeping on the streets? Like how many people? Like what is our estimate for homelessness?
I don't know. I don't know who in the world would know that statistic off their head. But, I mean, I could Google it if you want me to.
The HUD knows these statistics.
Right, an organization, not an individual.
I'm asking if you've.
I don't know. I thought the point of this was to have a conversation, right?
Yeah, and I'm asking
are we having a conversation?
Your question to me is, how do we do this? And my response is, there's not that many homeless people. It's actually not going to be that hard to house them.
Okay, so let's say let's go down that route. We house them. Now, what do? They just live in these houses and we just pay for them?
Well, now we can get them into services
do they get
so
a
that
job?
they can move from transitional housing. But the problem is forced services don't work.
Yeah. in my mind, that's
rehabilitation
kind
doesn't
of what this can. I mean, I'll look up this bill. What did you say the bill said? What was the bill?
It's an executive order.
Yep.
It's EO. I don't have the EO number, but it's Ending Crime and Disorder on America's Streets. Donald Trump wants to criminalize urban camping. Urban camping is just a government term for homelessness, right? It's sleeping outside. He wants to end urban camping, criminalizing it. And then people are going to get arrested for urban camping. And then what's going to happen is he's going to say, well, you can either go to this state-sanctioned facility that I've decided this is it and this is how it's going to work. And you can go there. And if you don't want to go there, you can go to jail. So he's forcing them to either choose a concentration camp or prison. Seems real weird coming from the party of Jesus Christ. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Sorry, I'm still reading it here. Yeah, I mean, I think it's one of those things where there's definitely some arguments for it to be good and probably bad. I mean, at least it's an action towards trying to solve the problem. It probably is not the most useful one.
What's the positive? What's the positive of this? Like, what's the pros for this system?
Well, it's bringing them into a facility and getting them some sort of a treatment.
It's forcing them into a facility.
Right, but what the alternative is, they just continue living on the streets.
The alternative is they still have their freedom. Are we not a country of freedom anymore? We're a country of forcing people into services now?
Forcing people into services.
Yeah, they don't get to leave. You know that, right? Like, once they go into these facilities, like, they don't get to just leave. They don't get to leave at night.
How do you know? I don't see anything about it being that they can't.
Because if they were able to leave at night, what would be the point of the facility? It's a tent city to stop them from sleeping on the streets. So if they're able to just leave, then we're just wasting money by arresting and rearresting the same people.
So it's restoring civil commitment. So providing assistance in state, local governments through technical guidance, grants, and other legally available means for the identification, adoption, and implementation of actually flexible. I mean, it seems like they're just trying to rehabilitate people.
No, they're trying to
maybe it's not the most attractive way to rehabilitate people, but that's
they are. What do you think is the purpose? If it's just about helping, why are they criminalizing homelessness?
Well, I mean, they're causing a lot of litter. For one.
Whoop-de-fucking do. So that means they should go to jail because they don't have a home? Are you for real right now?
No, that's not what I said. And I don't think it. I'm trying to find the part in here where it says that. I mean, I'm reading the executive order.
Enforce prohibitions on urban camping and loitering. What do you think that means?
I think that, but it says enforce prohibition, so I think it was already illegal, and they're saying that this executive order is going to say that we are now going to enforce this. Okay. So it says enforce prohibitions on open illicit drug use. So like shooting needles in public, they're going to enforce that. I think that's useful. I don't think it's useful for society to people be opening, using drugs, illicit drugs openly on the streets. Enforce prohibitions on urban camping and loitering. So that's suggesting that it's already illegal and that they're just going to enforce it, and then enforce prohibitions on urban squatting. Yeah, I agree that it's kind of a gray subject where it's like, you know, what if I, as a free person, want to go out and do urban camping? I should be allowed to do urban camping. Like in New Zealand, for instance, you can just as long as you're not on public property, you can just go and camp anywhere, which I think that's cool. But
yeah, I don't think you actually believe that. So again, isn't, by the way, this isn't just like coming from the executive order. Donald Trump has openly admitted that what he wants is camps that homeless people are sent to so that they're not on the streets anymore and they're forced to be in there or go to prison. This is the first step towards achieving that stated goal by Donald Trump.
Okay, but I'm reading the bill here, and I don't see anything
This isn't a bill.
about that.
It's an executive order. They haven't gotten a bill passed yet. This is the first step
it's an executive
to that
order.
stated goal.
Okay, so we'll see if it passes. But in this executive order,
if it passes, it's an executive order. What do you mean? It's already it's an executive order. What do you mean if it passes?
Well, if it's a bill, you said that this is this executive order, it sounded like what you said is this is an executive order, which is the first step in a process to create a bill to create more infrastructure around handling homelessness.
It's the first step in Donald Trump's stated plan. That plan being to criminalize homelessness and put homeless people into camps. He has stated this plan.
I'm telling you that I'm reading it. I'm reading this here, and I don't see that.
Okay. Do you want me to read you? Or you know what? Even better. Do you want to just listen to him?
Can you tell me the section?
Do you want to just? He doesn't say it in the executive order. But do you want to just listen to him tell you that he wants to throw homeless people into camps?
No, because in that regard, I do agree with like Ben Shapiro, where he says Trump's tombstone is going to say he said a lot of shit. So I already said that I agree with you that he's a little bit egotistical.
Hold on. If Donald Trump says that his stated goal is to criminalize homelessness, to force homeless people to go into state-run tent cities, or to throw them into prison, and then he creates an executive order that is the first steps of achieving that goal, you think that's just saying stuff?
Well, what I'm saying is that in the executive order, it does not state what you are saying. Now, if he said that, he does say a lot of shit, and he says a lot of hearsay, but what's actually on paper and what's actually going to be enforced is what I'm worried about. Okay. So I don't see anything in the executive order.
It's like, do you think that when politicians get to like really crazy extremes, they get to those extremes like in a vacuum, or did those extremes have steps?
I think that there's people who agree with him
that's not the question
we should do something about the homelessness.
That's not the question I asked you. I said, when politicians get to extremes, do they get there like in a vacuum, or are there steps to those extremes?
I mean, that question doesn't make any sense.
What doesn't make sense about the question? Articulate what doesn't make sense about the question.
There's probably people who agree with him.
I don't care about who agrees with him or not. That's not what I'm asking. When I say, so context clues. When I say does it happen in a vacuum, I mean, does it happen without any pre-existing steps to get there? Or does it happen with steps that get there?
That's not what that phrase, that's not how you, the term, like when you say, does you make this in a vacuum?
That's absolutely how that term can be used. You use context clues of the second part of the...
what you said.
You can use context clues of the second part of the thing I said, which is, are there steps to get there? Which means, obviously, I'm talking about does it happen in a vacuum away from other steps? Or are there steps that get there? So I'm going to ask the question again. When politicians make extremes, do those extremes happen separate of beginning steps? Do they just start at extremes? Or do those extremes come with steps to get there first?
I think it starts with steps to get there first, for sure.
Right.
And I think that's been demonstrated throughout history, where like the last guy who was on, you guys were talking about World War II and Germany a little bit, and I think that that's a good example of that. However, I think that there's a lot of checks and balances that prevent something like what you're suggesting from happening. And again, I haven't seen anything where
what checks and balances will prevent that right now, specifically?
Okay, well, if there is an internment camp where people cannot literally not leave, and they're here legally and they can be identified, and like for instance, if I
you're not answering the question right now,
if I missed my plane and I was stuck in a city for whatever reason, and then I had to sleep on the streets, and I was taken to this internment camp, and then I literally could not leave after that. I think if that situation was actually happening, I think everyone would agree.
That's not the question. That's not the question I asked you.
No,
I asked you what would the specific. No, it's not. I said what would the specific checks and balances be that would prevent this? And you're saying, well, I think people just wouldn't like that. That's not answering my question. What would the legal checks and balances be?
Specifically, I'm sure the courts would not allow that to happen because it would require due process.
How would the court stop this from happening?
The same way that they stop anything else. They put an injunction out.
They're not allowed to put injunctions anymore. They're not allowed to put federal injunctions per the Supreme Court. So how will they stop it? They're not allowed to put nationwide injunctions anymore.
I think they're not allowed to put general injunctions. They're not allowed to put
nationwide injunctions. They're allowed to do cases on individuals and class action cases. They're not allowed to put nationwide injunctions anymore without it being attached to a class action case.
So a judge, a circuit judge in New York can't make a decision for the entire country, but a circuit judge in New York could make a decision about something in New York and put an injunction out about something.
So you haven't answered my question. What are the checks and balances to stop this from happening?
That's what I just said. Local injunctions.
Great. So if I have a state like Florida that goes, no, we like this actually, we're going to do this. How do we stop this from happening?
The same way that you go through anything, you vote for a specific politician that's going to say,
so that's not stopping it from happening. That's not stopping it from happening. That's stopping it after it's happened. So we have no recourse to stop it before it happens, is what you're telling me.
This hasn't happened yet.
So I'll ask the question. I'll ask the question again. I'll ask the question again. It's not about fear. I'll ask the question again. When it comes to extremes perpetrated by politicians, do they happen in a vacuum, or do they have steps to get there?
They have steps to get there, and there's plenty of examples of Democrats having the same
now we have that we're going through the steps. What would be the way that we stop this from happening before it goes through?
It has not gone through to the point that you just mentioned.
Jesus
it hasn't.
Christ.
The executive order does not. The executive order.
You're avoiding answering the question I'm asking you.
I'm trying to answer your question. The executive order does not state that people cannot leave these facilities. I did not see that anywhere in the executive order.
How do you stop people from sleeping on the streets if you don't force them? First of all, what do you think being institutionalized means?
Being institutionalized means that there is some ordinance, some law, something that you are breaking just by virtue of not being compliant with it. It used to be significantly worse in the 50s.
If I say that I'm going to put people in long-term institutional settings, are they allowed to leave those long-term institutional settings?
Well, it depends on what the case is.
No, it doesn't, because how would it be long-term if they're allowed to leave? That's not long-term institutional setting. If they're allowed to leave, it's not a long-term institutional setting. It's a brief institutional setting. That means you cannot leave. So when Donald Trump says in the EO,
something totally different.
When Donald Trump says in the EO, when Donald Trump says specifically shifting homeless individuals into long-term institutional settings, what does that mean?
That means treatment centers. That means homeless shelters.
No, those aren't long-term. He says long-term. What does long-term mean, Ben?
Long-term means whatever the provision gives the enforceable allowed time to be enforced for someone to be contained or put into these situations. So again, the executive order says enforce prohibitions on urban camping and loitering. So I don't know what the exact local prohibitions would say and what that code or what that policy applies or affords for people to be able to be locked away.
What, Ben? You are actively trying to skirt around what is blatantly being said in order to not look maybe foolish for saying you think Donald Trump was the better idea. I don't know what the issue is, but you know it, and I know that when someone says that they are going to put someone into a long-term institutional setting, that person's not allowed to just get up and leave at the end of the day. You know this. And to argue hold on, stop.
What I know,
argue
though,
that's
what the executive order says.
The executive order says shifting homeless individuals into long-term institutional settings, Ben. That's what it says. That is in the second paragraph, my G. So either you didn't read it or you're being willfully ignorant right now. What does it mean to say
shifting homeless individuals to long-term institutional settings for humane treatment through the appropriate use of civil commitment will restore public order? So he's trying to restore public order.
I don't give a fuck about trying to restore public order. I don't.
Problem.
That's not the question that's not the question I'm asking. I don't give a shit about trying to restore public order. I'm asking what it means when you're saying that you're going to shift homeless individuals into long-term institutional settings. What does that mean?
It means exactly what they say it does. So the federal government and the state...
Kick fucking rocks, my G. It means what they say it does? Kick fucking rocks, bro. Shout out Amelia for the pay to move on. The fuck kind of answer is that, dude? We know what it means to say long-term institutional settings. It means they don't get to leave. That's what it means. That's quite literally what it means. Like, be so for real, dude. So here's my thing. If Donald Trump says, and in fact, let's just listen to the shit. Where is it? Under my strategy, working with states, we will ban urban camping wherever possible. Violators of these bans will be arrested, but they will be given the option to accept treatment and services if they are willing to be rehabilitated. Many of them don't want that, but we will give them the option. We will then open up large parcels of inexpensive land, bring in these are tent cities, by the way, bring in doctors, psychiatrists, social workers, and drug rehab specialists, and create tent cities where the homeless can be relocated. If you're being relocated, it means you're not allowed to leave. And they're properly identified. We will open up our cities, make them livable, make them beautiful again. It's literally, it's just fucking, we don't like looking at poor people, so we're gonna move them out. And if you refuse to get treatment, you go to prison. I thought we were in a free country. Are we not in a free country? Are we not in a free country, guys? So now if you refuse to get forced treatment, you go to prison. Thank you guys for watching. And shout out to my YouTube members. Their names appear on the side. Membership starts at $2.99 and gets you access to early videos, uncensored videos, and members-only content. Also shout out to Tier 4 member Yemye. Tier 4 members get to help choose debate topics, and their contributions go a long way to helping me create higher quality content for all of you. Remember to subscribe for your daily dose of leftist debates, and I'll see you in the next video.